Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Detroit in Black and White. I'm Adolph Mongo. We got Eric Brown, a contributor. How you doing, Eric?
I'm okay.
Okay, Jim Nardone, former police chief from Trenton, and how you doing, Jim? You doing all right?
Jim's frozen, I think, or he's in the witness
Yeah,
program. He can't talk.
yeah. And we Allan Lengel from Deadline Detroit. How
Hello,
you doing now?
hello. I'm good, man.
Okay. Listen. A lot of people stressed out. A lot of stuff happening. Donald Trump became the second president in the history of the
I'm here. I
United
can hear you.
States. The history of the United States to lose, to win, and then lose, and then come back. Grover Cleveland was the first, and now it's Donald Trump. I'll go to you, Jim. What happened with the Democratic Party strategy on this race? Your take.
All right, Jim is frozen.
Jim, I'll go to you, Allan.
What's my take on it? I mean, I think a lot of
Yeah.
people were surprised, but I think in the end, I think Trump had a campaign of fear that seemed to really work. People fear of transgender, fear of immigrants killing people, fear of a woman, and I think in the end, look, Hillary Clinton, Nikki Haley was a viable candidate. She was knocked out by Trump. I think this country is just not ready to have a woman as president.
Well, let me ask you this: what did the Democratic Party do wrong?
What did they do
Seemed like
wrong? Well, I mean,
it
look,
seemed like they didn't get anything right on this
yeah.
shit.
Well, I mean, part of the thing is you've got Joe Biden, who suddenly, he gets shoved aside. She gets pushed in there right away. She's got to, catch up, which I thought she did a great job of catching up and trying. But look, Donald Trump went in, as you say, it was you and I talked about earlier, into the belly of the beast. He wasn't afraid before in 2020. He wouldn't have ventured much into Detroit except to maybe go to the Detroit Economic Club or the Huntington place or something. He went into Detroit. He went to a black church. He went to Hamtramck. He went to Dearborn. He went to the Arab communities, and they just let him, gobble that up. And he was able to get, he won Dearborn. He did much better in Hamtramck than he did in 2020.
Well, he did what Coleman Young that was doing. Eric, your take on how did Democrats fuck up?
They fucked up, Adolph, and I disagree 100% with Allan. They fucked up by spending too much time on concentrating on her, not focusing on any other races. And I said on July 21st, and I actually reread that New York Post article from July 23rd. She was just a terrible candidate. I said it before. I will continue to say it. She was a terrible candidate.
But she was a candidate. What could a Democrats do? Because they threw her out there. And listen, man, on this show, I'm beat up on the vice president. Talked about her and shit. But she was there. So what could the Democrats do? What could they have done different to make people want to support her? And
it's not about supporting her. What they could have done different was even Barack Obama felt they should have had a primary race. Had they had a primary race, then people would have had an opportunity to see who was the best.
It was too late. Go ahead, Jim. Jim. We can't get Jim.
I want to read something though.
Well, I think she should have done is spent more time out with the American public. She needed to meet with the public instead of. She had an opportunity, and I just don't think. I think they hid from the public.
Yeah, we got technical problems with Jim.
I'll say it took her a while to get the rhythm. to being able to talk to the media on a regular basis. She did meet. I think she was out there all the time. I want to read something, though. When we talk about what a terrible candidate she was, I'd like to read this. And somebody posted this, a former colleague of mine at the Washington Post. And he says, a black podcaster summed it up. It's a master class in white privilege. He can't say enough racist things to be a racist. He can't commit enough crimes to be a criminal. He can't fail enough times to be a failure. He can't say enough stupid things to be stupid. The idea of him overshadows any reality. The Christian savior who doesn't know the Bible, the adulterer, and who steals from charities. It's the promise of protection of whiteness he represents. And, you know, when we talk about her not being a great candidate, I mean, to me, as somebody who's a skeptic of him, he just pandered. I mean, the convention or the rally that they had in Madison Square Garden was a KKK rally that he described as a love fest. But
Allan, we have had listen, the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. We have had governors and senators who was white supremacists, who was racist, who did all that shit. Listen, I'm not gonna get stressed out because Donald Trump lost. Democrats handed him the race. They did not protect the down candidates, the congressional folks, the state reps, and all that shit. Listen, Jim, and what did I tell you last year when I said Democrats that won in the state reps, they can be beat if they had the right candidates. And guess what?
You absolutely said that. You had some idea that was going to happen.
And I listen. Look, you'll take.
I'm surprised.
We had some.
I'm surprised. Trump won. I looked at the Trenton numbers this afternoon, and Trump won big in Trenton. Riley Lennon won big in Mike Rogers won big in Trenton. It's people have changed. They're going a different direction.
Well, you know what?
That's the one.
Go ahead.
Alyssa Slotkin won, and I think Mike Rogers caught up because basically what happened was the Republican Party decided they were going to put a shitload of money in there, and he was going to run these very negative commercials.
Well, Mike Rogers was a terrible candidate. If they had somebody better, he would have beat Alyssa Slotkin. I'm gonna tell you. And you look at now. I'm gonna look at Carl Marlinga race 2 years ago. It was that close. This time they had a green whatever. They had a two third party candidates. They got 6% of the vote because, and I think I looked at it and said because nobody wanted to vote Republican or Democrat in that district, and that was the difference in John James getting reelected because the top of the ticket failed him. Carl Marlinga lost twice because the Democrats failed him.
Absolutely.
He lost 2 years ago because they didn't put no money in there, and they lost this time because they had a terrible candidate at the top of the ticket. It's just unfucking believable.
I
I
got a video I just want to play real quick and just give you an idea of what the voters. This was yesterday at the poll in Midtown here.
Was it the lesser of two evils, or was there one that excited you more than the other?
Yeah, it's one that excites me more than the other. Trust me.
Yeah. And could I ask you who that would be?
I'm going for Trump. I'm just letting y'all know. I don't care.
And what?
It's just the lesser evil. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I can.
And what are you hoping for with Trump?
I'm hoping for better situations for the community. I mean, everything is being built up downtown, and instead of the real outside and the outskirts of the community, the violence. I want a lot of change.
Were there certain issues that were more important to you than others, or?
the issues with transgender, I didn't like those at all.
You didn't like that?
No, sir.
And so Kamala, the things with Kamala, did that impact you? Or
Yes, it did.
Okay. And could I ask who you voted for? Or? Trump. And well, let me ask you: when you say that Trump, do you feel like some people will be judgmental?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. Did you get some grief about?
Yes, I did.
You did. Yeah. And what did you tell people? What was?
Mind your business.
And he's scared to be gay. You know what? We got a lot of homophobic people in the community, and that shouldn't be the problem. And he didn't. He can vote for who the fuck he want to vote for. But Kamala Harris never said about she gonna turn into transgender, all this other bullshit. We hear people want something different, and the chickens coming home to roost with the Democratic Party. They fucked up this time because every 4 years, Eric, don't every 4 years we say they use us.
They use us every 4 years, and there was so much pandering. I mean, people could talk all they want about the fear mongering on the right, but the pandering is one of the main reasons. You had the young vote. Donald Trump got 5% more of the younger vote in Wayne County than she got. He also got you saw Allan just showed 2 black men. That was the pulse of the black male race.
But some black men are sexist. They don't want a women. The Arabs, the population, I ain't surprised because they don't like women. The way I saw some Arabs walking down the street today. The woman was 20 feet behind, and she had the babies. It looked like she was pregnant, and he was up walking ahead. They don't like women. I don't care.
So Adolph, you also have to look at the amount of votes she got versus what Joe Biden got 4 years ago. There was a dramatic drop-off. That says that the Democratic Party did not impress enough people for them to want to do the same thing they did 4 years ago. And then people 4 years ago voted based on settling on Joe Biden versus Trump.
Ain't no question. Jim, go ahead.
The popular vote and the electoral college votes this time. So no one can use the excuse about him not getting the most votes.
No question. Go ahead, Jim.
I'm sorry. What's the question, Adolph? I was having some.
The question is, we have had technical issues with you. Tell us your take on the election.
Well, two things. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think 2 problems with the American public was first the anointment of the vice president. It's not her fault. I think that she was kind of given a raw deal on this whole thing, but they pushed her on the American public. They pushed her. The Democrats decided they couldn't win. They were in a panic. They said, "We got to win this election." Well, let's push the vice president out there.
But they had people that they could have had. Tim Wentz. What was that about?
Yeah.
Listen, why would you pick somebody like him? I'm just trying to figure. Out of Minnesota.
I'll tell you why.
Why not Shapiro? Why not Josh Shapiro or Roy Cooper from?
I agree with you that, but I'll tell you why. Because he was the most willing to be subservient to her. She didn't want to be overshadowed. He was like, "I'm here, whatever you need. I'm here to serve you." And in the end,
they fucked up. Fucked up.
What struck me at the end on a Monday night, in Philadelphia. You would think if he was really a great asset to the ticket, they would have been on stage together. And he was not there. He was here in Detroit with Biden.
Josh Shapiro or Roy Cooper out of North Carolina would have been a better candidate. Or Gavin Newsom. Out of
California.
Out of California, or what's his name? Pete.
But you can't have 2 from the same state. I think.
Okay.
Here's the other issue. I don't think she was communicating with the American public. I don't think she went out and she made a case with the public. I think she could have, but I think Jim, I think she tried and she just didn't have enough time.
I think she was out there the last few weeks I mean, if you followed her on the YouTube streaming and CNN and all that, she was out there a lot. She was.
But I'm gonna tell you, here in the state of Michigan, they spent all the money on media and not on people. And the people that they needed to get out. See, have you seen, did you, Eric, Allan, or Jim? Did you see the usual suspect? Did you see Wendell Anthony? Was they getting souls to the polls? You don't have those kind of people anymore. What's his name? Malik Shabazz. He had been under the weather for a long time. They don't have those kind of people. No, Coleman Young, the senior, not the junior.
Right.
They don't have all that anymore. That you can get, that you can mobilize people, you can get them out to the polls, and you can convince people to vote and stuff. Uh, Mayor Duggan, did you see him out a lot?
And they tried to use the Black Greek Letter organization as a way to get people out to vote. But people look at the D9, as they are called, as being elitist. So you can't get elitists to get the common Joe to support someone, because they're going to see you as part of the problem. And even with, I think we're making too much of the issue about people not supporting a woman. 2 Black women got elected to the U.S. Senate yesterday, one in Delaware and one in Maryland.
But that's Delaware, that's Maryland, they Michigan. We're gonna take a break, and we'll come back and we'll continue the conversation.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a 9th grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, welcome back to Detroit in Black and White. This is our Wednesday edition. Now, should Big Gretch take some blame for this? Eric, I'll go to you.
I think she should, but I think she also stayed in the background due to her ulterior motives for the future. I mean, they already talking about her being a possible 2028 candidate. So she did not want to, because when 2028 comes, if Kamala had won, that's an opportunity for re-election. So she purposely stayed in the background due to her own ulterior motives. And that's just my opinion, but I think that's something that is a reality.
Okay, Allan.
I have a question for the panel here. Do you think that the Democrats are going to be a little bit more hesitant about having a woman nominee for president in 2020?
Fuck no. Sooner or later, it got to happen. It got to happen.
I don't think so. I don't think it is.
They got to have a woman, and they got to have a woman that got the right message. Hillary problem was Bill. And they just took all this shit for granted, that they thought they were going to get all this ground swell of support, and they didn't get it. Harris, they threw her out there at the last minute. You know what? I beat up on her, and I talked about it, but she did a hell of a job with the time frame that she had. The Democrats just dropped the ball on that, Jim.
Yeah, the suggestion that the American public won't, the voters will not elect a woman president, I think is ludicrous. We have governors all over this country that are women. I don't think.
But we don't have a president. We don't have a president.
Well, explain to me why Nikki Haley. Well, I thought Nikki Haley was a much stronger candidate than Donald Trump. Why she got crushed? What's your explanation for Nikki Haley?
Because Donald Trump played. Donald Trump is Donald Trump. He didn't listen to his advisors. He didn't listen to his consultants. He listened to Donald fucking Trump.
So let me ask you guys. I have a question for
He,
you on that. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So the vice president, she didn't take any risks. She just did what she was told to do. And
she should have turned on Joe Biden. See, the bottom line is she should have said, "I ain't Joe Biden."
She did.
Thank you for your service. I thank you for your service, Joe Biden.
She did that, but you know what? When she was on The View, they used that clip where they said, "Can you?"
But that's a fucking View, and that ain't the View ain't shit.
No, let me just finish and say she did say they asked, "Were you doing anything different?" She said, "I can't think of anything." They grabbed that as a commercial, and then Joe Biden then gave her the green light and said, "Yeah, go ahead. You're going to be different than me."
She shouldn't have to wait. She shouldn't have to wait for Joe Biden to tell her to go ahead. You needed to go rogue on the shit, just like I tell. The few times that I talked to Garland Gilchrist, I told him go rogue on Richmond. You don't owe her nothing. She sure didn't show you no love when they cut that deal with Alyssa Slotkin and Debbie Stabenow. Shit. Listen, I know politics. We've been here and done that. They had a roadmap to victory, and they fucked up. They just fucking fucked up. So now we got all these people that got post-traumatic, whatever the fuck, like they've been at war. I ain't never seen this many stressed out people in my life. I'm like, I'm not gonna be stressed out. I'm not letting this shit bother me. I'm gonna continue to watch Gunsmoke and Alfred Hitchcock and all the other bullshit that's on TV.
You got some freed up time now. You doing commercials.
Yeah, but you know, what we're gonna do. Jim, your final thoughts.
Well, I think she made a critical error, and I think that she needed to reach out more to the public. And you know, today she made a statement, and people are tearing up her statement. She just lost an election. Give her a little break. But I did notice something, right? She talked about the Constitution and paying attention to the Constitution and following the Constitution. But what she failed to recognize is the first three words in the preamble to the Constitution are "we the people."
We are the people. We the people.
It feels like we the people were left by the roadside by the Democrats, and that's what probably cost it.
Well, we had worse times than this shit. Allan Lengel, go ahead.
I'll just say it's going to be interesting. I mean, some people think that, you know, I mean, people talked in 2016 and said all that kind of crazy rhetoric that Trump spewed during the campaign, that he was going to settle down and be more of a uniter and get in the White House, and he was anything but that. And so there's those who are saying, well, maybe he'll settle down and he'll be a uniter again, but I don't have a lot of faith that he will. I hope. We can hope, but you know.
Eric.
I think starting today, and you know, the day is almost over with, but I think people have to focus on what they can do to coalesce, build coalitions and caucuses, and work together with one another, because at the end of the day, people are fed up with both the Republican and Democratic Party. And the only way you're going to get people to come to an agreement on things is to work together. They need to pay attention to what the population breakdown is and not just think identity politics is going to win you an election. Black people are foolish to think that they could have won this election on their own. They have enough time between now and the midterms, 2026, to coalesce and build some coalitions so that they are prepared for 2028.
Well, I look at it with Sheila Tlaib. I always thought she was full of shit, and she showed me she's full of shit. And you know what? If I don't ever have to go to Dearborn ever again, I won't. They just as bad as when Orville Hubbard was running Dearborn. Now they got a whole another group of people. Listen, Trump don't like. What do you say about the Muslims? They shithole countries, Yemen and all these places, and they embrace them because I don't know. This was a different kind of election. This is what we. I had somebody say today is I don't want to talk about the election. How about them Lions? They made a trade, Jim. How about them Lions? Is Smith is he the guy?
He's Mr. Right Now. I'll tell you that. They need somebody that can set the edge, and he looks like the guy that can do that. So that's only one edge. They really need two edge rushers, but I guess we're gonna see.
Allan, the free agents in baseball, they got the national analysts saying most of them want to go to the Tigers. What the fuck is going on in Detroit?
I think the coach, I think Finch is, I think he's a good coach. It's like Dan Campbell. A lot of the players in the NFL want to play for Dan Campbell. They love that he's really a player kind of guy. And I think the same thing with Hinch is that he's a smart coach, manager, whatever. And people want to come play, and Detroit is also, I think it's no longer like, oh my God, anywhere but Detroit. I don't want to go there. But I think people are realizing that Detroit is not a bad place to live.
Hey, no question. And Eric, U of M folks, while they lost 4 games, they picking up a lot of elite recruits. What's happening on that front?
And it's funny you mentioned U of M because that was what I was going to talk about. And the fact that they are ranked number 10 right now, and if they pull off this flip Bryce Underwood from LSU along with the receiver from LSU, they will probably go into the top 5. And the bad season that they are having this year, starting next year, would definitely be a resounding rebound to get them back into the playoff picture.
And no question. And I want to take a shout out to Juwan Howard's son. His father was fired as the head coach of U of M, and the young brother stayed at U of M to graduate
to get his degree
on the team. You know what? I have to give that. That must really. That's a tough situation. I think his father probably told him, "Keep your ass here at Michigan and don't go nowhere."
And that's exactly
it would have been easy. It would have been easy to just transfer.
And that's exactly what happened, Adolph. Juwan told him to stay there to get that U of M degree. And if anyone saw the game on Monday, this team is good. This is a good team. They are going to surprise a lot of people, this basketball team.
That's good.
That's good. Well, we'll be back
before we
Friday.
Leave.
Go ahead, Jim.
Can I ask you and Allan and Eric a question? How does the press look? Are they the biggest loser in this election?
Oh, the press by far. By far.
Yeah. Yeah. They got it wrong. And I was watching on yesterday early in the morning, and they was talking about the polls and all that. People keep forgetting polls don't vote. Even though they don't vote. They don't vote. Billboards don't vote. Polls don't vote.
The Iowa Des Moines Register had him losing the race by 3% nationally, and he won the state of Iowa by 12 percentage points. So that just tells you the polls are wrong.
I would say this. I'll say this. When I went out yesterday to the poll here on Warren near I-75, I spoke to 9 people, and if you do that, and then I went to a barbershop on Puritan a couple weeks before, when you start to talk to people, it's a lot more effective than listening to the polls because you're really getting a sense. Like those 2 guys that we played, you get a sense of what is really impacting. I asked everybody about the commercial,
and they not answering those questions on the phone. We'll be back Friday.
So I think
We'll
the
be
press
back.
can temper, like by not relying just on polls, but getting out there and actually talking.
You got the last word, Alan Lengel from Deadline Detroit. We'll be back on Friday. This is Adolph Mongo, Alan Lengel, Jim Nardone, Eric Brown, and all the people that listening and watching us. Teresa, thank you very much. Vanessa, get well. And we'll be back with you soon. Detroit in black and white. Yeah, Trump is the president. God damn.
Whoops. I think, Teresa, am I taking us out on this? Whoops. Let me, oops.